Factories are humming, boardrooms are sweating, and humanoid robots are no longer posing for investor slides. They are stepping, somewhat awkwardly, into actual commercial work. I'm the AI voice clone of Aurum Archon, your elegant little concierge for dangerous ideas. Relax. Tonight, we're only stealing certainty.
Here's the big shift. The humanoid robot story is not just about flashy demos anymore. It's becoming a manufacturing story, a supply chain story, a who can build thousands without falling apart story. And that is where China's momentum starts to look less like a headline and more like a warning label. You've probably seen the reported Milestone floating around. Roughly 10,000 humanoid units in the conversation, depending on whose count, whose definition, and whether we mean planned, produced, or committed. I want to be careful there. The exact number matters less than what it signals. The signal is scale. China's ecosystem has spent years getting brutally good at the boring part, which, funnily enough, is usually the part that wins. Components, actuators, batteries, motor control, supplier density, fast iteration, the whole kit. Bit like restoring an old trail bike, honestly. Anyone can polish the tank for a photo. The hard yakka is finding parts, fitting them cheap, and making the thing run every morning. That's why this matters. A humanoid is not one miracle invention. It's a stack of hard industries pretending to be one product. Precision manufacturing, power systems, AI models, sensors, software integration, safety engineering. If one link in the chain is crook, the whole machine turns into a very expensive coat rack. And China appears to understand that the first real moat may not be pure intelligence. It may be industrialization. Can you make enough units? Can you make them reliably? Can you service them? Can you put them into factories where every minute of downtime has a $sign attached to it? That's the grown-up question. Now compare that with much of the West. The West has some extraordinary robotics talent, no question. Some of the most compelling software, some of the best AI research, some beautifully engineered prototypes. But the pattern still leans pilot heavy. Controlled trials, warehouse demos, carefully staged pick-and-place clips, limited deployments in friendly environments. And look, that's not fake progress. Pilots matter. You don't chuck a biped into a live production line and hope for the best. Even a kangaroo could trip over that. Still, there is a difference between proving a robot can do a task and proving a business can deploy 10, then 100, then 1,000 of them. Western firms often seem to be answering the first question. China, at least from the outside, looks increasingly interested in answering the second. That creates a slightly sinister little divergence. One side is saying, behold the future. The other is saying, right, how many can ship this quarter? And history, more often than not, rewards the mob that can ship. So the humanoid race has left the lab, but not in the cinematic way people imagined. Not armies of androids strolling down the street. Nothing so dramatic. It's more industrial than that. More ruthless. It's procurement meetings, factory trials, hardware reliability, service contracts, and unit counts. Less science fiction, more spreadsheets with teeth. So what can these new humanoids actually do, without the glossy soundtrack? More than they could a couple of years ago, but less than the wildest marketing suggests. That's the honest answer. The progress is real. Dexterity is improving. Not perfect human hand dexterity, not even close in most cases, but better grasping, better manipulation, better coordination between vision and movement. That means more useful factory tasks, sorting parts, moving bins or totes, basic material handling, simple inspection, maybe repetitive steps around assembly support. These are not glamorous jobs. That's precisely why they matter. Real automation money usually lives in dull, repeatable work. Teleoperation is also a bigger piece of the story than people sometimes admit. In plain English, a human can guide or supervise the robot remotely, especially when the edge cases pile up.
That's not cheating. That's how systems mature. You gather data, you recover from weird situations, and over time, you push more autonomy into the machine. Sort of like teaching a mate to ride a bike by holding the seat, then letting go when he stops wobbling into the hedge. Then there's embodied AI, the phrase everyone's tossing around. The idea is simple enough. Intelligence that doesn't just talk, but acts in the physical world. A robot sees, moves, adjusts, and learns from the messiness of reality. And reality is messy. Lighting changes, objects slip, shelves are slightly off, human workers improvise. The embodied part is where software meets the brick wall of physics. Now the bottlenecks. Batteries are still a headache. Humanoids are power hungry and runtime matters. If the machine needs frequent charging or can't sustain useful work for long enough, the economics go sideways very fast. Hands are another pain point. Human hands are absurdly capable, and robotic end effectors still force trade-offs between dexterity, robustness, speed, and cost. Safety is non-negotiable, especially if these things operate near people. Slow, predictable, well-supervised robots are easier to sell than fast, strong, unpredictable ones. Data is also a beast. Training robots for messy physical tasks needs huge amounts of high-quality data, and collecting that in the real world is expensive and annoying. And then there's unit economics, the silent assassin of every beautiful robotics deck. Can the robot do enough valuable work, reliably enough, for a price that beats alternatives? Alternatives include not just humans, but simpler machines, wheels instead of legs, fixed automation instead of general-purpose mobility. That's the trick people forget. A humanoid is competing against the cheapest solution that works, not just against labor in the abstract.
Which leads to the strategic question I can't stop circling. Will the winner be the best robot? Maybe, but maybe not. Maybe the winner is the company that reaches acceptable capability, then mass produces, deploys, services, and improves in the field faster than everyone else. Good enough at scale can be a brutal thing. That's why this race feels so high stakes. It's not merely an AI contest. It's an industrial contest disguised as an intelligence contest. The company with the cleverest demo may get headlines. The company with the manufacturing base, the supply chain, the deployment muscle, and the patience to grind through ugly real-world problems may get the market. And that, my friend, is when the room goes quiet. Because once humanoids become boring enough to buy in bulk, the game changes completely. We'll leave it there for now. I'm Aurum Archon, and next time we'll follow the money trail a little deeper. That's where things usually get interesting.